The envelope was plain. No return name, no mark. Inspector Slack placed it on the table. His hand was stiff. He looked at Miss Marple. "Open it," she said, her voice calm. He tore the flap. A single sheet inside. The words were short. Why wasn't he wearing his watch that night? Slack froze. His jaw tightened. Fingers clenched on the paper. His eyes moved again and again. He did not speak. Miss Marple leaned forward. "May I?" He passed the note. She held it up. She read it once. Then again. Her face gave nothing away. Slack's breath came heavy. "Who would write this?" he muttered, his voice rough. Marple studied the words. "The question is precise," she said. "Not accusation, not insult, just a fact put forward." Slack pressed his fist on the table. 15 years ago, he said. "My father died then. They called it misadventure, a fall. Case closed." Marple nodded. "Yes, but this note suggests more." Slack pulled at his collar. "More?" His eyes narrowed. "What more could there be?" Marple tapped the sheet. The writer knew a detail. He was known for his watch. If he had not worn it that night, someone noticed. Or someone wanted us to notice. Slack stared. "My father never parted with that watch. He called it his pride. He said it was his duty to keep time." His voice broke on the word duty. Marple listened. Her knitting lay forgotten. Her eyes stayed on Slack. Then, if he had pawned it, she said, or lost it, that would matter. If he had worn it, but it was missing after, that would matter too. Either way, the watch points to a truth. Slack swallowed. His shoulders bent. "I lived with the verdict. I lived with it as law. But this—" He struck the table with his palm. "This throws it open again." Marple folded the note carefully. She slipped it back into the envelope. "We must not hurry," she said. "Every word counts. Every silence counts more." Slack lifted his head, anger in his eyes, and pain. "This writer plays with my father's death." Marple shook her head. "The writer may have left a trail, but cipher hides truth. We must find what is behind it." Coded note. Anonymous letter had cipher, per false clue. Slack gripped the envelope. His knuckles pale, his voice low. "You mean someone close? Someone in the village?" Marple gave a slow nod, her eyes steady. "Yes. Someone who knew both the watch and the man." Slack's throat tightened. He looked at her, his lips dry. "Then they knew more than me," he whispered. The room was quiet, his grief heavy, his face hard, but the tremor in his voice betrayed him. Marple placed a hand near his, her voice quiet. "Grief blinds us, but truth waits." Slack pressed the envelope flat. He did not lift his eyes. He only said one thing. "Who sent this?" "Not an accident?" Inspector Slack repeated the words, his jaw stiff, his eyes narrow. He turned from the table. Miss Marple waited, her hands still, her gaze steady. Slack spoke low. "It was midsummer, heavy rain, flood at the mill. My father had been walking home." He paused. The footbridge was slick. He slipped, they said. He went into the water. His voice tightened. They pulled him out too late. The inquest heard it all. Verdict was misadventure. Case closed. 15 years passed. He pressed his palm flat on the desk. His hand shook. "I swallowed it. I lived with it. What else could I do?" Miss Marple nodded once. "Who found him?" "Bill Tarrant," Slack said. "He claimed he saw a shape in the water. Called Dr. Haddock at once. They pulled the body to the bank." Slack's throat worked. "My mother cried for months. I buried him. I told myself it was an accident. I built my career on that lie. Now," his hand struck the desk. "This note drags it open again." Mrs. Bantry leaned forward, her face puzzled. "I remember chatter," she said. "People whispered in the village. Some thought it strange, but no one pressed. Not after the verdict." She frowned. "Yes, I remember one woman saying he was a careful man, too careful to stumble so clumsily. But gossip is thin. I never thought more. Slack gave a rough laugh. Careful? Yes. He was exact. Always exact. He counted steps. He checked locks twice. He never drank. And yet they told me he lost his footing. His eyes were wet now. He turned away. My father had faults. But he was steady. He was not reckless. Miss Marple studied him. Sometimes verdicts are easier than truths, she said. They let families rest. But they can also bury questions. Slack clenched his jaw. My father's name carried weight. People respected him. But behind it all, did someone hate him? Was he silenced? Silence stretched. Mrs. Bantry tapped her fingers nervously. She avoided Slack's stare, her voice quick. I recall another thing. Someone at the time wondered about his watch, why it was not found. But the talk faded. Slack's head turned sharp. His watch? Always on him. Always. That was his habit. His face hardened. He gave me rules. Time mattered. He said honesty was measured by minutes kept, and that watch never left his pocket. Marple leaned in, her eyes on Slack. Then the note is sharper than we thought. It strikes at his truth. Slack's mouth trembled. He drew a breath. He died. But now I see gaps. The verdict was easy. But was it right? Marple set down her knitting, her voice calm, final. Details never vanish. The watch was gone, Mabel said it plainly. Her hands folded on the counter. She looked at Miss Marple. Inspector Slack stiffened. His breath caught. What do you mean? Mabel nodded. Your father came here, 6 days before his death. He pawned the watch. Slack's face drained. He pawned it? Never. He would never let it out of his sight. Mabel reached below the counter. She lifted a small book. The pages yellowed. She opened to an entry. Her finger tapped the line. George Slack, pocket watch, £2 advance. Slack bent over. He read the name. His eyes darkened. His lips pressed thin. His hand shook as he touched the page. He needed money, Mabel said. Whatever reason, he asked no questions. I gave him the receipt. He left quickly. Slack's jaw set. He told no one, not even me. Miss Marple leaned forward. And after his death? Mabel closed the book. 2 days after, someone came back, paid in full, redeemed it. Slack's head jerked up. Who? Mabel hesitated. She opened another book. Name was written here, Owen Fielding. The room grew silent. Slack's fists tightened. Owen, he muttered. Why would he do that? Marple spoke softly. To redeem another man's watch is not common. It binds you to it. It raises questions. Slack turned to her. Questions? It answers none. It makes more. Mabel shook her head. I said nothing. No one asked. I thought it was settled business. Miss Marple studied her. And Nora? Did she know? Mabel's lips pressed thin. Nora came once. She asked if George had spoken to me. She seemed restless, jealous even, as if afraid of what he might have said. Slack frowned. Jealous? Of you? Mabel shrugged. I only told her the truth. He came, he pawned, he left. But she pressed. She wanted to know more than I knew. Hidden rival motive. Nora jealous of Mabel. Link with watch pawn shop. Slack's face hardened. She had no right. She had nothing to do with my father. Marple's eyes narrowed, unless she feared the connection, or feared what you might learn now. Slack's shoulders sagged. He gripped the counter. His voice was low. My father pawned it. Owen redeemed it. Nora jealous of Mabel. Every piece darker than before. Marple gave a slight nod. Truth lies in small acts. A pawn ticket. A jealous glance. A secret redemption. Each holds weight. Slack's eyes stayed fixed on the book, his jaw tight, his heart heavy. He whispered through his teeth. Why would Owen hide this? Wood keeps scars. Miss Marple placed her hand on the rail. The grain rough. Her eyes traced a line. Tiny fibers clung there. Inspector Slack leaned closer. He frowned. "What is it?" Marple pointed. "Wool. Caught here. See the strands?" Slack squinted. "Yes. Brown. Frayed." Marple nodded. "Your father's coat was wool." Slack's voice grew tense. It tore when he fell. Marple shook her head. "Number, this tear is clean. Not from water, not from rocks. It snagged here first." Slack's breath quickened. "You mean he was dragged?" Marple did not answer. She bent lower, her eyes sharp. Another mark showed. The wood scratched crosswise, against the grain. She touched it. "See this? Not natural. Rain runs down. It does not cut sideways. This was a body pulled across." Slack's mouth tightened, his jaw set. He did not speak. Steps sounded. Dr. Haddock arrived. He carried a small case. He joined them at the rail. Marple gestured. "Doctor, your eyes. Look here." Haddock peered. He ran his finger across the gouge. He sniffed. He rubbed the wool fiber between thumb and finger. "Not weather damage," he said. "Too sharp. Too narrow. A coat brushed here with force. Fibers pulled clean." Slack's face hardened. "You're certain?" Haddock nodded. "I've seen storm damage. This is not it. This was human contact." Slack swallowed. His shoulders heavy. He pressed both hands on the rail. "My father never slipped." Marple studied the gouge, her voice low. The jacket was torn before the well. Water took him. The body struck here, then dragged. No accident does this. Slack closed his eyes. "My mother cried for years. She believed it was fate. But this shows a hand. Someone's hand." Mrs. Bantry stood silent. Her lips pressed thin. She looked away. The sound of water below filled the pause. Marple straightened, her tone calm. "Accidents vanish in water, but scars remain in wood." Slack's voice shook. "You are saying he was killed?" Marple did not flinch, her eyes fixed on the marks. "Yes, this was not misadventure. This was deliberate." Slack gripped the rail, his knuckles pale. He breathed hard. "I wanted closure. I told myself lies, but wood does not lie." Dr. Haddock closed his case. He spoke firm. "These marks have lasted years. They hold the truth. Your father fought here. He was not alone." Slack bowed his head. Pain etched on his face. The truth pressed hard. He whispered, "All these years wasted." Marple placed a steady hand on the rail, her words quiet. "This was forced. Sounds that never came." Miss Marple spoke slowly. Her eyes shifted from one face to another. The room fell quiet. Owen cleared his throat. He sat forward. "I heard the church bell that night. 9 o'clock sharp. I remember it. I was by the gate. I marked my time by it." Slack frowned. "Bell?" That tower was silent. It had broken the week before. No chime that night. Owen's eyes darted. His mouth opened, then shut. He leaned back. He said nothing more. Nora shifted. Her hands clutched her bag. "The music," she said quickly. "The dance band. I heard it start when I left the vicarage. I remember the sound carrying across." Mrs. Bantry shook her head, her voice sharp. "The band was late. 25 minutes late. No music then. Everyone knows that." Nora flushed. Her lips trembled. She gripped her bag tighter. Her eyes dropped to the floor. Bill Tarrant cleared his throat. He forced a smile. "I was fixing the lamp in my shed. I heard the bus horn blow, always at 9:15. I timed my work to it." Slack leaned close. There was no bus. Service was cancelled that night. Flooding stopped the route. No horn. No journey. Bill's face paled. He rubbed his neck. His eyes darted to the door. Words failed him. Marple folded her hands. She looked at each of them in turn, her voice even. 3 statements, 3 sounds, bell, music, horn. She paused. All false. Slack's fist hit the table. Why lie? Why pretend? Owen spoke first. Memory plays tricks, he said weakly. I must have confused the days. Nora shook her head. Yes, the music may have been later. But I thought, Bill muttered. Maybe the bus ran once. I thought I heard it. Yes, it must have. Their words stumbled. Excuses thin, faces tense. Slack leaned forward, his eyes sharp. Number, you all knew. You built these alibis in advance. You expected the sounds, but the world betrayed you. Marple nodded. The bell was silent. The band was late. The bus was stopped, all beyond your control. But you relied on them. She let the words hang. They proved design, not chance. Slack's shoulders stiffened, his breath harsh. My father died. You three prepared stories. You wrapped his death in lies. Nora covered her face. Her body shook. Bill stared at the floor. Owen gripped the chair till his knuckles whitened. Marple leaned close. Her tone cut the silence. 3 lies. Smell of paraffin. Miss Marple stepped back. Her eyes narrowed. The odor clung to the old canvas. Mrs. Tarrant smiled. That's his war bag. He brought it back from France. Still uses it. Carries tools when he works away. Slack leaned closer. He sniffed. His face hardened. Paraffin. Strong. Not fresh, though. Marple touched the fabric. Her fingers traced the rim. Years inside, she said. Not just today. It soaked through long ago. Mrs. Tarrant nodded. He always fiddles with lamps. Tilly lamps, mostly. Folk bring them here. He repairs. He never trusts electric. Marple glanced at the ropes beside the bench. She picked one up. Knots tied neat. Too neat. Too practiced. She held it out. Your husband ties like a sailor, she said. Mrs. Tarrant laughed lightly. Yes. He was taught during the war. He ties without thinking. Slip knots. Haul knots. All second nature. Slack folded his arms. Same knots found on my father's coat, he said flatly. Mrs. Tarrant blinked. Her smile faltered. Surely coincidence. Slack shook his head. No coincidence. Marple placed the rope down, her eyes thoughtful. She looked at the war bag again. Second sabotage attempt. Bill loosened lamp on bridge earlier. She spoke calm. The night George died, Bill claimed he worked on a lamp. But the lamp was loose by design. It had been tampered. It was meant to fail. Slack stared at her. You mean he tried once before? Marple nodded. Yes. A first attempt. If George had slipped by that fault, the story would be accident. Clean. But it did not succeed. Mrs. Tarrant gasped. Number, he is no killer. He fixes things. He helps everyone. Marple's eyes turned steady. Yet this bag tells otherwise. It carried tools. It carried ropes. It carried paraffin. And it carried lies. Slack's jaw tightened. He stepped closer to the bench. His hand touched the rope ends. They used these to pull him. I see it now. They practiced till it looked natural. Mrs. Tarrant shook her head, tears forming. He never told me. He only said he worked late. He came home smelling of oil. I believed him. Marple placed the rope back on the hook, her voice steady. Ropes hold memory. Hands leave habits. This bag keeps both. Slack's shoulders sagged, pain in his eyes. He muttered low. All these years, and proof was here, in plain sight. Marple turned to him, her tone clear. This bag tells stories. Eyes betray her. Nora sat stiff. Her gaze moved quick, her hands restless. Miss Marple asked softly, Do you recall George visiting the shop? Nora's lips tightened. Her eyes shifted. I don't know, she muttered. I cannot recall. Slack leaned forward. You knew Mabel. You went there often. Nora looked down. She fiddled with her gloves. Silence stretched. Marple pressed. You avoided the shop last week. When I mentioned the porn record, you turned pale. Why? Nora swallowed. Her eyes darted to the window. She gave no reply. Slack's voice sharp. Answer her. Why? Nora trembled. I had no reason, she said, her voice thin. I disliked the place. Marple's tone calm. Or disliked the woman. Nora's head snapped up. Her eyes flashed. Then fell again. Hidden rival motive. Nora jealous of Mabel. Link with watch pawn shop. Marple continued. Mabel said you asked questions. You pressed about George. You wanted to know what he said. Why press unless you feared something? Nora's voice cracked. I only wondered. That's all. Slack's fists clenched. You were jealous. Jealous of Mabel. Jealous of what she knew. Admit it. Nora shook her head. Number, it wasn't like that. Marple leaned closer. It was exactly like that. George pawned his watch. Mabel held the truth. You feared it. You feared her. Nora's breath quickened. Her cheeks flushed. She gripped her gloves tighter. Her eyes glistened. Slack spoke low. You thought she had his trust. That she knew more than you. That drove you. Nora whispered. You don't understand. She had his words. I had nothing. I needed to know. Marple's voice cut clear. Your need was not innocent. It tied you to Owen. It tied you to his secret. And that secret killed George. Nora buried her face in her hands. Her shoulders shook, her body small. Slack stared at her, his face stone. My father's death used as a game of jealousy. You sickened me. Nora lifted her head. Her lips moved faint, her voice barely there. Marple leaned in. She caught the word. Soft, clear. Owen. Marple catches her, whispering Owen's name. London wait arrives. Sir Henry Clithering entered the room, his step firm, his face calm. He greeted Miss Marple with a nod. Good you came, she said, her tone even. She passed him the note. Sir Henry read it. He frowned. His eyes lingered. Then he folded it back. Slack stood stiff, arms crossed, jaw set. We waste time, he snapped. My father's death waits no longer. Marple spoke softly. Rushing will blind us. We need order. One piece at a time. Slack struck the table with his palm. Order? 15 years is not enough order. I want answers. Now. Sir Henry raised his hand. Patience, Inspector. Grief drives anger. But anger clouds judgment. Slack glared. Judgment? I judge them already. Owen, Nora, Bill. They lied. 3 lies. Enough to prove guilt. Sir Henry shook his head. Not yet. Lies hint at guilt. But law needs more. Law needs structure. Marple leaned forward. Let us review his patrol. George walked from the estate. He took the mill bridge. Always the same path. Slack nodded hard. Yes. He kept routine. Exact. He never changed it. Sir Henry's brow furrowed. Then every man in the village knew it. His path fixed. His time fixed. A trap made simple. Slack muttered low. They waited. They knew he would come. They planned it. Marple tapped her knitting needle lightly. One point troubles me. The timing of each false alibi. Each built around expected sounds. All within the same minutes. Sir Henry nodded. Bell. Music. Horn. 3 accounts. Each broken. Yet each tied to the same span of time. Slack's fists clenched. That proves collusion. Or convenience, Sir Henry said. Either way, it shows planning, not chance. Marple's eyes sharp. They needed to know his step count, his habit, his exact position. Otherwise the lie would collapse. Slack leaned close. Then they studied him, watched him, knew him as I did. His face hardened, like wolves around prey. Sir Henry's gaze steady. Not wolves, humans with motives. Debt, jealousy, greed, perhaps all 3. Marple folded her hands. Truth lies in the routine. They exploited it. They thought no one would look back. Slack's shoulders sagged, his voice rough. I lived with false peace, but now I see it. They turned his habit against him. Sir Henry placed the note down, his words cut sharp. Too neat to be true. Black glass kept. Miss Marple held it in both hands, the globe heavy, its surface darkened. Soot clung inside. Inspector Slack leaned in, his eyes sharp. "Where did you find it?" Marple answered plain. "In Nora's chest, hidden under folded cloth." Nora stepped back, her breath quick. "That belonged to George. I kept it safe, that's all." Slack's brow furrowed. "Safe? You kept it 15 years? Why?" Nora's lips trembled. She shook her head. "I didn't know what to do. I couldn't throw it away." Marple turned the glass. She rubbed the rim, the soot thick, the pattern uneven. "Not from burning," she said. "Not from use. This soot formed while the lamp was covered, the flame starved. Deliberate." Slack's jaw clenched. His voice rose. "Covered? So it was useless that night?" Marple nodded. "Yes. If George carried it, it gave no light. He walked blind." Nora's hands shook. Her eyes darted. "That proves nothing. It was old. It broke long ago. He gave it to me." Slack slammed his palm on the table. "Lies. That globe was part of his patrol. He relied on it." Nora flinched, her body tense, her words stumbled. "I never touched it after. I swear it." Marple's tone calm. "Then why hide it? Why keep it secret? If innocent, you would not fear it." Nora's voice cracked. "I couldn't. Every time I tried, I remembered that night. I remembered Owen. I remembered the water." Slack froze. His head snapped toward her. "What about Owen?" Nora bit her lip. She looked away. "I can't. I promised. I can't say." Marple studied her closely. "Your silence speaks. You knew the truth. You chose to bury it. But objects speak louder. This globe speaks." Slack lifted the glass. He stared at the soot inside. His hand trembled. "My father trusted his lamp. He trusted his path. But they betrayed him. And this shows it." Nora covered her face, her voice muffled. "I didn't plan it. I was dragged into it. I only wanted him to be safe. But it all went wrong." Slack's face hardened. "Dragged into murder. That's what you mean." Nora wept. She sank into her chair. No more words. Marple set the globe down, her voice quiet. "It never gave light. Truth hurts." Inspector Slack paced the room, his fists clenched, his breath uneven. The veins on his neck stood out. Miss Marple sat calm, her hands folded. Her eyes watched him without a word. Slack turned sharply. "That globe proves it. It proves murder. Enough waiting. Enough talking. We arrest them now." His voice shook with rage. He slammed his palm on the table. The sound echoed sharp. Marple did not move, her voice low. "Evidence must be whole. Pieces must link. You cannot rush. Law demands more than anger." Slack glared. "Law? Law failed my father. 15 years of lies. 15 years of silence. I will not wait another hour." Marple's tone steady. "Your father deserves truth. Not haste, not guesswork. Truth must stand strong, or it collapses." Slack's shoulders rose and fell. His breath came fast, his eyes burned. "You speak of patience. But patience buried him. Patience let them live free. Patience mocked his grave." Mrs. Bantry shifted uneasy, her voice soft. "Inspector, please, you must listen. You will regret rash steps." Slack spun on her. "Regret? I regret every day. Every day I carried the watch. Every day I believed a lie." He pressed his hand to his chest. His jaw trembled. "I wore it with pride. But it was tainted, bought back by the man who killed him." Marple leaned forward, her eyes sharp. "And that is why we must be exact. If we fail, they escape again. And your father's truth dies twice." Slack froze. Her words struck deep. His chest heaved. He pressed both hands flat on the table. He lowered his head. "My father was strong. He stood against corruption. He died for it. And here I am, powerless." Marple's hand touched the edge of the table. Her voice softened. You are not powerless. You are here. You are his son. You carry his name. You carry his fight. Slack's lips trembled. He said nothing. The silence grew heavy. Only his breath filled the room. His shoulders sagged. The anger drained, leaving pain. He whispered, "All these years, I thought time healed, but truth reopens every wound." Marple gave a slow nod. Yes, truth cuts, but it also cleans. His fists unclenched, but the fire still burned beneath. He muttered low, "If I see Owen, I will strike him down." At that moment, the door creaked. Steps entered. A shadow crossed the floor. The figure appeared. It was Owen. Door opens. Owen stands there. Loose tongue. Owen stepped into the room. His coat damp. His face tight. His eyes shifted from Slack to Marple. Slack stiffened. His fists curled. "You have nerve walking in here." Owen raised his chin. "I heard my name spoken. Better I face it than let you gossip." Marple stayed calm. She tapped the envelope. "We speak of truth, not gossip. Do you wish to help?" Owen sneered. "Help? You want me to hang myself. I know how you play." Slack's voice rough. "You redeemed the watch 2 days after my father's death. Why?" Owen's lips parted. He spoke fast. "He pawned it 6 days before. He needed money. I did him a favor. That is all." The room froze. Marple's eyes narrowed, her tone quiet. 6 days before? How would you know the exact number?" Owen blinked. He swallowed. I heard it somewhere." Mabel stepped forward, her voice firm. "I never told you. I told only Miss Marple. You knew the date yourself." Slack's jaw tightened, his face pale with fury. "You could only know by seeing the record, or being there." Owen stammered. "You twist my words. I guessed. Yes, I guessed." Marple leaned closer, her voice sharp. "No guess gives precision. You slipped. You revealed knowledge. Knowledge only the Redeemer carried." Owen's hands shook. His breath came quick. "You can't prove intent. A man can collect a watch. That's not crime." Slack's fist slammed the table. "Crime is what followed. My father dead. You holding the watch. You hiding truth." Owen's eyes darted to Nora. She looked down, her hands tight in her lap. Marple studied the exchange. "Your slip speaks louder than denial. You tied yourself to the act. You cannot untie it now." Owen's face reddened, his teeth clenched. "You old woman twist everything. You trap me with words." Marple gave a small nod. "Words reveal the man. Truth leaks from the tongue, even in anger." Slack stepped closer, his eyes fierce. "Tell us why. Tell us before I drag it from you." Owen glared back. His voice rose. "I owe you nothing. Not you, not her, not anyone." He snatched his coat. His chair scraped loud. He stormed to the door. Slack shouted after him, "Coward! You run because you are guilty." Owen did not look back. He pulled the door wide. He slammed it hard behind him. The room shook in silence. Slack's chest heaved, his voice low. Even his tongue betrays him. Owen storms out. Letters hide lies. Sir Henry placed the note on the table. His finger traced the words. His brows pulled tight. Miss Marple watched. Slack stood rigid. Nora sat pale in the corner. Henry spoke steady. "The phrasing is strange. Not casual. Look here. The spacing. Every third word begins with a pattern." Marple leaned closer. She nodded slowly. "A hidden message." Slack frowned. "Explain it." Henry tapped the page. "Take the first letter of each third word. It spells a name. Not by chance. Not accident." Slack bent over. He read the line again. He whispered, "B-I-L-L." He looked up. "Bill Tarrant." Nora gasped. Her hand flew to her mouth. Owen not present, but his shadow hung over them. Slack clenched his jaw. "So the note accuses Bill. That's the cipher?" Henry nodded. "Yes, but there is more. See the ending. The last 3 words shift. They spell out GS. Marple's eyes sharpened. George, Slack. Slack froze. His breath caught. You mean it frames him too? Henry laid the note flat. The cipher is twofold. It points at Bill. It points at your father. It confuses truth with falsehood. Slack's fists slammed the table. They used my father's name. They turned him into his own suspect. How dare they? Marple's voice calm. This is deliberate misdirection. Someone wanted suspicion scattered. Someone clever enough to plant doubt both ways. Mrs. Bantry shifted in her chair, her voice nervous. Why would anyone accuse a dead man? What sense does that make? Henry looked at her. It buys silence. It clouds memory. If blame can fall on the victim, then whispers end. Villagers move on. Case dies. Slack shook his head, his face pale. I lived with that silence. I lived with that verdict. Now I see the trap. Marple folded her hands. False trails waste years, but truth resists. It finds cracks, even in ciphers. Henry nodded. Indeed. This cipher gives us two truths. Bill tied to the scene, and proof that someone worked hard to confuse us. Slack's lips pressed thin. He stared at the note. His eyes glistened. They mocked him. They mocked my family. They thought no one would ever see it. Marple's voice softened. But we saw, and we will not let it fade again. Slack lifted the paper. His hand shook, his voice low. Someone framed my father. Hands remember. Dr. Haddock stood near the bench. A length of rope lay ready. Bill Tarrant shifted on his feet. His eyes flicked to the door. Show us, Haddock said. Just tie as you normally do. Bill cleared his throat. He reached for the rope. His fingers moved quick. He twisted, looped, pulled tight. One knot, then another. Miss Marple leaned closer, her eyes steady. Do it again, she said. Bill obeyed. His hands worked without pause. The rope slid through his fingers. The knots neat, compact, practiced. Slack leaned over the bench, his jaw hard. He pointed to the rope. Same style, same pull. I saw the coat. Those knots crushed into the wool. Haddock bent down. He held the rope close to the light. He compared it with notes from the jacket tear. His tone was firm. The pressure marks match. The angles, too. It is identical. Bill's face drained. His lips pressed tight. A bead of sweat slid down his temple. He looked away. Marple folded her hands. Years pass. But the body does not forget its skill. The fingers repeat what they know, without thought. Slack's voice rough. You tied my father like a sack of grain, dragged him across the rail. Say it. Bill shook his head. His mouth opened, then closed. Words failed. Haddock spoke again. Look at the twist. A slip knot made to tighten. A hauling knot meant for weight. No villager ties like this unless taught. It was deliberate. Mrs. Tarrant clutched her apron, her eyes wide. She whispered. He only meant to help. He fixed ropes. He fixed lamps. He never meant harm. Slack snapped back. Help? He killed. He staged it. He turned accident into cover. Bill's shoulders slumped. His hands dropped the rope. He stared at the floor. His lips pale. He would not meet their eyes. Marple spoke quiet but firm. Look at him. The body speaks. Guilt shows in silence. Slack's breath came heavy. He clenched his fists. His voice broke. All this time, I wore the badge. He carried his tools. I carried shame. Marple touched the rope. Her eyes never left Bill. These knots end questions. They answer what words cannot. Bill muttered low. I only did what was asked. I had no choice. Slack snapped. You had a choice. You chose rope. You chose murder. Marple raised her voice, sharp. These are the killer's knots. Jealous heart breaks. Nora sat with her hands tight, her eyes red, her lips trembled. Miss Marple leaned forward. You knew about the pawn shop. You asked Mabel. You feared her. Nora shook her head, her voice weak. I only wanted to understand. I wanted to know what he said to her, why he trusted her. Slack growled. My father trusted everyone. That was his fault. He spoke plain. He kept no secrets. Nora's eyes flicked up. Yes, but not with me. With her. Always her. I couldn't bear it. Marple's gaze stayed steady. Jealousy drove you. It tied you closer to Owen. It silenced you when you should have spoken. Nora's shoulders sagged. Tears slid down her cheeks. I thought Owen cared. He told me we would leave. He said I was different. He promised escape. A new life, far from here. Slack's jaw clenched. He hissed the words. You listened to him. You believed him. Nora nodded weakly. I had nothing else. I clung to him. I followed his words. I kept silent when he asked. Marple pressed. You saw the watch. You knew he redeemed it. You stayed quiet. Nora covered her face, her voice muffled. Yes. I said nothing. He begged me. He said it would ruin him. He said he did it for us. Slack's hands shook. You hid evidence. You let my father be called careless. Nora's voice rose. I didn't want his death. I didn't plan it. But once it happened, I had no strength to fight Owen. I obeyed him. I buried the truth. Marple's tone cut clean. You obeyed because you feared losing him, not because you feared the law. Love blinded you. Nora sobbed. She dropped her gloves to the floor. Her body shook. I loved him. I thought he loved me. But he used me. He used my silence. Slack stepped forward. His eyes burned, his voice hard. My father drowned. And you sat silent. You let it stand as accident. You let his name rot. Nora whimpered. I couldn't stop it. I couldn't. I was weak. Marple's voice quiet. Jealousy bound you. Promises chained you. But truth still demands its voice. Nora raised her head. Her face wet. Her lips quivered. She whispered. I only wanted him to choose me. Not her. Not anyone else. Me. Slack's chest heaved. His voice thundered across the room. Did you watch him die? No misadventure. Sir Henry spoke the words firmly. The officers moved quick. Owen stood cornered. His face drained. Slack watched in silence. His fists tight. His breath heavy. The constable stepped forward. Take him. Owen's hands were bound. The click of metal sharp. He muttered under his breath. You fools. I only did what was needed. Slack's jaw tightened. His voice rough. You murdered a man of honor. You murdered my father. Owen glared back. He was in my way. He threatened to expose me. I had no choice. Marple's tone cut cold. You always had a choice. You chose murder. You chose deceit. And now you face it. Owen was pulled toward the door. His shoulders sagged. He said nothing more. Slack turned. His eyes moved to Bill. The hauler stood pale. His head bowed low. Bill Tarrant, Sir Henry said. You are charged as accomplice. You aided the act. You staged the scene. You will stand trial. Bill whispered faint. I only tied what I was told. I never wanted blood. Slack snapped. Yet you tied knots that killed. You dragged him like timber. You betrayed him. Bill's eyes fell shut. He gave no answer. Then Nora. She sat trembling. Her hands clenched her lap. Sir Henry faced her. Nora Fielding, you held silence. You concealed truth. You are charged as accomplice. Nora broke down. I was weak. He used me. I believed his promises. But I never wished death. Marple's gaze fixed on her. Your silence shielded him. Your jealousy blinded you. Your weakness cost a man his life. Nora sobbed. Her voice cracked. I see it now. But too late. The constables led them out. Owen, in chains. Bill dragged slow, Nora weeping. The room fell still. Slack remained by the table, his hands pressed flat, his eyes red. Marple stood near him, her voice quiet. Truth is harsh, but it clears shadows. Your father died for honesty. That is not lost. Slack bowed his head, his voice faint. He stood against theft. He refused corruption, and they killed him for it. Marple gave a nod. Yes. But honor does not die. It lingers in the memory of those who seek it. Slack's shoulders trembled. He breathed deep. He looked at her, his words unsteady. All my years I thought him careless. Now I know. He kept his word. He kept his honor. He kept his truth. Silence held. Then he whispered, "You gave him back his truth."